What's going on, everybody? What is going on? It is Wednesday, October 9th, 2024, and we are back with another live here on the Torian Rain Reloaded channel. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to go ahead and hit that like button, hit that share button, hit the subscribe button if you are new. And if you are new, I'm glad that you are here. Hit the bell twice to be notified whenever I upload a new video or go live, or just simply join the Discord. And you can get the notification there. Shout out to all the mods, all the members, all the people on the replay gang, everybody, just everybody in general in the chat. Shout out to everybody on X or Twitter, Discord, and Instagram. So we have a very good topic that I'm going to be discussing today. We will be talking about Daniel Penny. Some stuff is starting to come out now as his trial date slowly approaches. It will be here on October 21st, which is 2 Mondays from now. So that is when his trial is set to begin. But some things have come out that I do want to talk about. And of course, I want to talk about how PC is spiraling out of control, especially on X when they heard some of the news. That's always a fun thing. But before we get into that, let me go ahead and acknowledge the people who are here so far in the chat. We got Hacksign KT, the Church of Black Power, Denise Scales, Reparations Nation, Leonard DeYuta, DD Phoenix, Hacksign, I already said Hacksign, Wallow J, Cami Budo, Jay the Informant, Lamiko Cardenas, Just Us, Revolutionary 2, Eric H, Lisa Hickman, Iron Will, Don P, and Black Women Stand Up. Shout out to each and every person that is here so far in the chat. I'm glad that you are all here. Hold on right quick, y'all. All right, y'all, I'm back. Also, shout out to we got Low Shadow, August Dreams, Though Real. Shout out to everybody that is here so far in the chat. So, like I said, Daniel Penny's trial for what he did to Jordan Neely over a year ago is coming up on October 21st. And we might make sure to keep eyes on this because they're going to try to bury that, especially since his trial is so close to the election. It's literally about 2 weeks, about 2.5 weeks before the election. So they probably going to try their best to keep this close to the best possible. But right now, it's not looking too good for Daniel Penny, but I'm not going to leap out there and be jumping for joy. We know we don't do that over here. We wait for a conviction and we wait for a sentencing. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to share my screen and we're going to bring up this first article right here coming from the New York Post that was made on October the 3rd, which was last week. And the title reads, Daniel Penny's words to cops moments after deadly NYC subway chokehold revealed in a dramatic video. So, you know how they say your words can and will be used against you in a court of law? I don't know if Daniel Penny did not get the memo, but yeah, his words will definitely now be used against him. And what they were trying to do was trying to get some of this stuff, I guess you could say, thrown out or not be admissible. But for him, they said, nah, we using all of it or as much as we possibly can. It says, I just put him out. This is a quote coming from Daniel Penny. That's what Marine veteran Daniel Penny told cops on a Manhattan subway platform moments after he put homeless man Jordan Neely in a fatal chokehold video in court Thursday reveals. Penny's statement made to officers on the Broadway Lafayette platform last May is among several pieces of evidence that his lawyers are fighting to keep out of his manslaughter trial slated for later this month. Now, you got to ask yourself one question. Why are his attorneys trying their hardest to keep the hardest piece of evidence out of this trial? If you do that, why even go to trial? Why would there even be a trial in the first place if you're going to try to keep that part out? That's the part right there that definitely needs to be added in, or that needs to be one of the first pieces of evidence added in. because we all saw it. Unfortunately, we saw the images, we saw the video, we saw Jordan Neely's last moments at the hands of this thug, Daniel Penny. Let's just call him what it is. They like to use that terminology on us. Hell, they called Jordan Neely that. Penny's statement made to officers, I already read that part, wearing a gray suit and purple tie. Penny calmly watched on as prosecutors played video from an arriving cop's body cam, plus footage of his interrogation later that night, where he insisted that he did not mean to hurt Neely and was merely protecting his fellow strap hangers during the train car altercation. Well, the thing is, Daniel Penny, you did more than hurt Jordan Neely. You killed him. He did more than just hurt them. You strangled him to death. Now, keep in mind, the last time we heard a big case where someone was strangled to death was at the hands of Daniel Pantaleo and what he did to Eric Garner many years ago. And that was a cop that did that to a citizen, and that was deemed an illegal chokehold. So the thing is, if that was illegal for that, why wouldn't it be illegal for Daniel Penny? And thing is, Daniel Penny was in the military, so he knows these maneuvers, and I'm sure they probably told him when and when not to use them. And let's not forget all of that money that Daniel Penny got in donations. That man literally became like a millionaire off of these donations. And some of those names on the list of people who donated to him were some prominent figures. He says, I wasn't trying to injure him, Penny told detectives at Chinatown's 5th Precinct. The interrogation video shows. I was just trying to keep him from hurting anyone else. He was threatening people. That's the line of reasoning that his defense is going to try to run with of, oh, he was threatening people. They keep running with that because they feel like if they push that enough, then that'll get him off. But I don't think the judge is believing that. Because people are asking, where's the proof that Jordan Neely was threatening people? Of course, you know, the usual suspects, they tried to dig into Jordan Neely's past when this first happened and saying, oh, Jordan Neely did this, he did that, he did this. Well, I got a question for the usual suspect and Daniel Penny's fans. Did Jordan Neely do any of the stuff that y'all claim that he did on the day that he died? No? Then how does that hold up here? Penny added, I'm not trying to kill the guy, what you did. I'm just trying to de-escalate the situation. The 25-year-old veteran is charged with second-degree manslaughter, with Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg's office saying that he recklessly caused Neely's death by choking him for 6 minutes. And you know what? I forgot how long he held him in that chokehold for. He held him in that chokehold for 6 minutes. That was 3 minutes. That was like 3.5 minutes less than what Derek Chauvin did to George Floyd. Well past the point where Neely had stopped purposeful movement. Basically, that Jordan Neely was already deceased while Daniel Penny still had him in the chokehold. So that means that Jordan Neely was already dead, and basically Daniel Penny was holding a dead body in a chokehold. He was gone way before those 6 minutes hit. Because you got to think, when you are choking someone, you're cutting off their air passageway and their ability to breathe. It doesn't take that long for you to start fading out. Penny has argued that his actions were justified. His lawyers have stressed accounts from some witnesses that Neely's wild rant in the subway car included threats like someone is going to die today. Some passengers on the F train during the episode described Neely's words as insanely threatening and said they hid and prayed until Penny stepped in, while others said they did not feel at risk, court paper shows. Now, I was watching a video from Bunker TV, and shout out to him, but because he brought up a good point. He was saying, well, in the title of his video, it says, it was basically saying why Daniel Penny has to be found guilty. It's because Daniel Penny did what he believed to be a vigilante act. If Daniel Penny was to get off from this, like say Daniel Penny hypothetically was to be found not guilty of all of this, like he was able to walk away from this completely, this then gives people the ability to go out and do what he did off the guise of, I feel or I believe my life was in danger. Not that my life was in danger, but I believe my life is in danger. Do you know how many people lie when they say that? Just to give an excuse to hurt someone else. So y'all better hope that Daniel Penny is convicted of everything that he's charged with. Remember what I told y'all about domino effects. And keep in mind, this happened in New York, y'all. Exactly, Sage. It sets a major precedent. For me, it was like another day, typically in New York, one witness told the grand jury. Now, I don't know how many of y'all, well, Sage, I know you because you live in New York, but I don't know how many other people here in the chat live in New York, have ever been to New York, or ever been on a subway in New York. But the subway in New York, now that's the real off-Broadway performances right there, not the ones downtown in Manhattan and Times Square. The real off-Broadway performances are on them train cars on the subway where you be having people dancing, doing acrobatics and all types of stuff. And I've been on the subway a couple of times in New York because I have family that's there. I know people from there, and they never bothered me. As a matter of fact, you can look at the videos right there on YouTube, and people be giving them money. People be entertained. Some people just put their headphones on, their earbuds in, and tune it out and just keep it moving because, like the person just said, it was another day typically in New York for me. Penny's lawyer, Thomas Kenneth, and by the way, keep in mind, Jordan Neely was a Michael Jackson impersonator. Penny's lawyer, Thomas Kenneth, wants the body cam footage scrubbed from the trial because the candid statements came before he was told of his rights against incriminating himself. In the recording, which was played during the day-long Manhattan Supreme Court hearing, but not released publicly, Penny told police that Neely had been threatening those on that train car and then added, I just put him out. But Daniel Penny, you said you was trying to just restrain him. Now, restraining somebody and putting them out, which could translate to putting them out of their misery, which you did do, that's two different things, but it's a difference between subduing someone and putting them out, like you say. Like they said, this man held him in a chokehold for 6 minutes. Jordan Neely was probably literally on his way out within or under the second minute. His attorney also wants jurors to be blocked from seeing video of Penny's questioning because it stemmed from what he called an illegal arrest. The interrogation begins with Penny having a friendly chat with 5th Precinct Detective Michael Medina, also an ex-Marine, with the two men trading stories about their time in service. Penny then gives his account, going so far as to act the situation out by putting Medina in a mock chokehold to demonstrate what he did to Neely. And I bet you he probably just acted it out. As far as when I say acted out, he most likely did not do it in the form and fashion in which he did with Jordan Neely. Clearly, he says, I'm not an agitator trying to attack people. Penny says in the video, I just felt that this guy was going to kill people. See, again, he felt, not that he was, but that he felt he was going to do something. Let me hurry up and get to this because this New York Post page is trying to close up on me for whatever reason. It says the interrogation ends abruptly after Penny, appearing to realize that he may be in legal trouble, asks if he is being detained and then asks to speak to a lawyer. Police ended up cutting Penny loose that night, but he was arrested about 2 weeks later after bystander footage of the encounter surfaced online and drew outrage. So when the video went online, the incident was 2 weeks old. It didn't just happen that day, or didn't just go up that day. Now, imagine if that video footage did not end up online. We would never know about this. This wouldn't have been, well, you know what? We probably would have, because it would have made the news, but we may not have seen the video, the raw footage. Neely was unarmed during the encounter and had a long history of mental health episodes and run-ins with police before his death. Judge Maxwell Wiley ordered that the body cam and interrogation footage be sealed off from the public while he decides whether it will be played at the trial, which expected to begin with jury selection on October 21st. Among the observers of Thursday's pre-hearing was Jordan Neely's uncle, Christopher, who popped into the room after the lunch break after an appearance inside a nearby courtroom in his pending pickpocketing case. The judge said he planned to rule on whether the videos will be shown at trial sometime next week. Penny faces up to 19 years in prison if convicted in the case. Keywords there are up to. So don't get excited when they say up to 19, because it could be less than that, but it just can't go past 19 if he's convicted. So that's that first article right there. I don't know why that thing keeps trying to close out, why the New York Post thing just keeps trying to close out on me, but I'm about to leave off the page anyway. Brother Man, so you said, so even with the video footage and evidence, he can get away with that. Well, the thing is, his attorneys were trying to keep that out. But the thing is, the video's already been floating around anyway, but they're trying to keep that out as a thing as evidence, quote unquote. Because the thing is, even though the jury has most likely already seen the video like the rest of us, if it's not admitted as evidence, they can't go off of, oh, online I saw this, but if it wasn't entered as evidence, then they can't go off of it. So let's move on to the next tab and close out of this one, because I don't know, New York Post is tripping. So this one is coming from the Gothamist, and it was posted on October the 4th, which is the day after the one I just did on that I just read. It says jury will hear what Daniel Penny told NYPD after fatally choking Jordan Neely in the subway. So now the jury is going to be able to hear it. So that's officially going to be admitted. They haven't done the jury selection yet. That's going to be on the 21st. But they will be able to hear it. So, like I said, stuff is starting to slowly work against them, but don't get too excited. Cammy says, what does the jury look like? They haven't done it yet. The jury selection starts on the 21st. So they don't even have a jury yet. This is all pre-trial stuff right here. A New York City jury will likely hear statements a man made to police after he fatally choked a homeless man on the subway last year. A judge ruled on Friday afternoon, which was this past Friday. Daniel Penny told police that Jordan Neely was, quote unquote, going crazy, and that he put Neely in a choke because Neely was threatening everybody, according to court records. I had him pretty good, Penny told an officer at the Broadway Lafayette Street station, records show. I was in the Marine Corps. Now here's the thing. This is how dumb Daniel Penny is. Keep this in mind, y'all. Daniel Penny is telling this to this cop without a lawyer present. Nowhere has it stated that a lawyer was present when Daniel Penny was telling this cop this stuff. Because if that was the case, the lawyer would have done the speaking for him, and he most likely would have told him, don't say anything. So really, if Daniel Penny is to be found guilty, it will be because he has begun to dig his own grave. Remember what they say, whatever you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. Nowhere have I seen anywhere did it say that a lawyer was present when he was telling this cop this stuff at the station. Penny is facing manslaughter and criminally negligent homicide charges for choking Jordan Neely on the F train last year. He doesn't deny that he wrapped his arms around Neely's neck and said he was trying to protect fellow subway riders because Neely was scaring people. Penny pled not guilty to the charges. A video of Penny holding Neely on the floor of the subway went viral at a time when concerns about subway safety, homelessness, and mental illness were at the top of mind for many New Yorkers. Police spoke with Penny at the subway station and the local precinct that day, but let him go home afterwards. Protesters flooded subway platforms, with some even jumping onto the tracks, and urged Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg to bring criminal charges. Penny was arrested more than a week later. Shout out to those protesters, because I don't trust Alvin Bragg. Remember, Alvin Bragg is the same DA that pretty much handled Maya Ponsetto with kid gloves. She was the one they called Soho Karen, the one that tackled that little boy because she alleged he stole her phone when the whole time it was in the back of her Uber. Alvin Bragg is also the one who brought up charges against Jonathan Majors when he was running away from a threat, which was his ex-girlfriend, Grace Jabari. So I don't put all of my faith into Alvin Bragg, especially when it took protesters to get in your ear and your face for you to bring up charges against him. Oh, more than a week later. The case became a kind of Rorschach test, as some praised what they said was Penny's bravery. We know who those some are. And donated to his multi-million-dollar legal defense fund, while others decried him as an overzealous vigilante. Neely was once a well-known Michael Jackson impersonator who performed regularly on the subway. He also cycled in and out of psychiatric treatment, used synthetic cannabinoids, and was diagnosed with schizophrenia. As Penny's late October trial date approaches, both the prosecution and defense team have asked the judge to block pieces of evidence, from the jury, arguing that permitting them could hurt their respective versions of the case. At a hearing on Thursday, defense attorneys asked the judge to preclude the statements Penny made to police after he choked Neely. They played a video compilation from officers' body-worn cameras, which showed Penny demonstrating to police how he held Neely and telling them Neely was squirming as he tried to hold him down. I'm not trying to kill the guy. I'm just trying to de-escalate the situation, Penny said. I wasn't trying to injure him. I was just trying to keep him from hurting anyone else. Penny's attorneys argued that the statement he made at the subway station and precinct shouldn't be used because police didn't follow proper protocols before asking Penny questions. But Justice Maxwell Wiley ruled that police did follow the rules, including advising Penny to his right to remain silent before interviewing him at the station. That means anything he said can be used in court. What did I just say? I said Daniel Penny is a dummy because he spoke to the cops without a lawyer present. He could have opted out to not say anything and said, I will not say anything until I have a lawyer present. But you decided I'm not only going to tell what I said, but I'm also going to demonstrate how I did it. So much for the quote unquote high IQ. So there you go. And I called that before I even got to the point. I said, I bet you he said all of that and did not have a lawyer present, and he did it. You're gonna sit up there and literally say what you said. And the thing is, they have the body camera, so they can say that confirms it right there. What you said, what you also told them, and you described how you did it. So now, not only is that video going to be entered as in evidence, the body cam footage, I'm sure the raw footage we all saw, but now they're going to get you with your quotes and your demonstration of how you did it. If Daniel Penny walks away from this, he might have the ultimate PC privilege. That was just straight up arrogance right there on his part, but he's dumb. Penny's attorneys did not immediately respond to a request for comment on Friday afternoon. A spokesperson for the Manhattan District Attorney's Office declined to comment. Prosecutors also asked the judge on Thursday to preclude some evidence from the trial. They don't want Penny's defense attorneys to reference more than 6,000 pages of Neely's psychiatric records, which they say include information about his family history, past surgeries, notes about his participation in group therapy sessions, and information about past, quote, bad acts, according to court papers. The only reason to do so is to influence the jury to devalue Mr. Neely's life, Assistant District Attorney Daphne Yaron wrote in a statement. The DA's office has also asked the judge to bar Penny's attorneys from calling a psychiatric witness to opine on Neely's psychiatric history and use of synthetic cannabinoids, also known as K2, because prosecutors say he's not qualified to speak about Neely's cause of death. Wiley is expected to rule on that request next week. But yeah, he's dumb. Like y'all said in the chat, he's snitching on himself. Kira said he's dry snitching. He's self-incrimination. That's basically what he did. Sage said, "How can I volunteer for the jury?" Hey, I can't tell you. Well, one of them they're going to say you need to be a registered voter. I know that's one of the qualifications. I guess I don't know. You got. Say, I don't know why you ask me. You got to look up what it's like for the how it is to qualify to be a jury in the state of New York. But hey, if you do make it onto the jury, that'll be an interesting story to tell when the trial is over. Now, the last thing I'm gonna go over is this this post right here on X, coming from this page called Crime in NYC. Now, this is the part where PC completely lost their mind and let their anti-blackness just flow right on through them like a stream of water. He said, I'm a registered voter. I just don't vote. Well, I mean, you got one of the qualifications down. Now you got to figure out how in the world would you get on that jury. Remember that they do jury selection on the 21st, so you got about a week and a half to figure something out. And again, shout out to everybody that's in the chat. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to go ahead and hit the like button. I will greatly appreciate that. Robert Brown said he might get manslaughter 25. Well, they said if he's found guilty, he faces up to 19, so it won't be 25 years. So not up to 19 is what he's looking at. And one thing you know what? I'm glad that they're going this route, because one thing you don't want to do in a case like this, or any case like this, is you do not want to overcharge. That's one thing a lot of overzealous attorneys like to do. Like, they tend to get their emotions into it and they overcharge the person. And if you do that, then that means that the person can be found not guilty based on the evidence presented, and then they go home. So good thing they did not charge Daniel Penny with any type of murder in the first degree, because that means that was with intent. That would mean that he was going to look for Jordan Neely to actually take him out, which wasn't the case. So I think they did properly charge him. Like I said, you don't want to overcharge, because that could be a recipe for disaster. But I was going to read this part, but this is actually taken from the article that I read in the beginning from the New York Post. So I'm going to just go through the through the comments, and we're going to see how these people reacted, because I thought it was funny. Like, they lost their minds under this post. Let's see here. Someone said, what happened to the black person who helped Penny subdue Neely? Can he be a witness? Yeah, they need somebody on his side. That's what they're at. Basically, that's what they're asking. The Crime in NYC page replied with, that's a really interesting question. The trial is scheduled to start in a couple weeks from now, and then we should find out. Someone said, look at this. Oh, here it is. American, not America, but American, needs more Daniel Pennies. I swear these individuals need to be careful what they ask for, because they be saying they need more of this and that when it comes to black folks. I'm like, you do realize that, you know, eventually it'll trickle over into you. Just like when they were sending all the illegals over to us, and now they done spiraled out all out of control, and now they're touching you. That's why I say just be careful what it is that you ask for. Someone says, never talk to the police, never call 911 or help if a cop is overpowered. That's the message here. These be the same people that's be trying to tell black people how to deal with the police. Someone else said, this is crazy. Someone says, yet judges will let black murders go free. This guy should be given a medal. I'm just going through the comments, y'all. This is how they're feeling right now pre-trial, because they truly believe Daniel Penny did not do anything wrong. They feel he did the right thing. They feel that Jordan Neely was the perp. Someone else says he's going to become another racial prisoner solely because he's white. Again, these are the same people that claim to not see color. This is why you always need to ask, am I under arrest? And if the answer is yes, you have to shut up. Police will always lie to make their job easier. Well, this person is partially right, because when Daniel Penny was arrested, he didn't shut up. He sung like a canary. Bump 48, the first 48, he spoke in the first 24. Let me see here. Someone says same judge would have let Neely go, and probably did several times. Someone says, why would anyone talk to the police? I'm not an American. Well, you shouldn't even be in this conversation. Why do I need to continue reading your comment? Someone says they have enough footage showing he is guilty of breaking the duty to retreat clause. Someone else said never intervene. Someone said, oh, look at this. There should be a civil war if this kid gets prosecuted. What? This is...
What did you say, nigga?
A civil war over this? I'm telling y'all, for those of y'all who aren't on X, be glad that you aren't, because it's a lot of foolish goofies on there. It says all white people should declare war on the state in this country. Now you can only achieve justice through violence. Now look at their name, Dixie Nationalists. That tells me everything. Someone else said case should be tossed. So many people wish they had a man like Daniel Penny when they were getting robbed, assaulted, or violated. He can't get a fair trial in NYC. Someone else said Penny stopped this criminal from harming people on the train, which they stated and are black. Thank God he was there. Someone says that's why you don't say ish about ish except for am I being detained? And if they start stammering, tell them you want a lawyer present and say nothing further. Well, that's like I said, he didn't do that. He went and told what happened and what he said and demonstrated on the cop how he did it. Someone said Penny is innocent. Someone else said free Penny. So on and so forth. Well, here's someone in here who has some sense. They said, unfortunately, it looks like the right decision. Never talk to the police, never waive a right without a lawyer. That's what I said. But, you know. Now let's look at some of these quote posts. Someone says the Daniel Penny case is more evidence that that NYC would rather you kneel down and give criminals and drug addicts everything they want rather than defend yourself or defend others. Never forget these actions by the NYPD. The cops will not save you. These are the same people that say back the blue. The same ones that say blue lives matter. Oh, we need the cops. Now, because this is happening with Daniel Penny, something that he started, that he caused. Now they don't like the cops anymore. The jokes practically write themselves. I could have sworn it was more quoted posts than this. But anyway, y'all pretty much get the gist of it. Like they crashing out, y'all. They crashing out. Per usual. No surprise there. But y'all know what it is that I'm about to do. I'm about to go ahead and drop this good old StreamYard link in the chat. Well, not in the chat, but in the Discord. And if you would like to come up and speak, feel free to do so. They crack me up sometimes, I swear. This is looking like a repeat of yesterday. Church, what's going on? Okay. At first, I couldn't hear you.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
All right, bet. Yeah, man. Wallow J, man, you got to step your game up, brother. You got to step your game up, man. I'm usually never the first. I was first yesterday, first today. I'm feeling good about myself, man. Blessings to you, Dorian, and this shit. Shout out to the chat, man. This whole situation is just ridiculous altogether. You know what I'm saying? Like the whole narrative that this man is trying to use as his defense. So the whole one, this man talking about what he had to do to make sure other people were safe. One, you assumed that someone was going to hurt someone else. I'm from Los Angeles. Now, I ain't been to New York and seen their subway or whatnot, but in LA we have the Metro Rail, right? Which is something similar. And the Metro Rail has a Wilshire Boulevard station, which is right next door to Skid Row, which is where all the homeless people mostly in Los Angeles live and they congregate. You feel what I'm saying? So,
I'm familiar with Skid Row. I've seen Skid Row.
So when you go to like the Wilshire station, right? When you go inside, like there's waiting areas and things like that for people who's waiting on the trains and stuff. You see people from outside all the time in there, acting crazy, saying things, performing sometimes. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. And no one. And there was a time I was in there and someone walked in and dude just, I'll beat everybody ass in here. Everybody looked at him and just went about their business. Like, I know you ain't talking to me.
Listen, I live in the DMV area where it's a big metro area. It has like about five, maybe 6 lines. Trust me, I have seen my share of bums that have said something along the lines of similar to what you just said. And I'm sure anybody who lives near or in a major metropolitan area have seen and heard and smelled, and that's a very foul smell as
you
well.
Smell them before you see them.
Yeah, that's why when I said it happened in New York, and then I was describing, New York and people, that's why I said the New York train system, their subway is the real off-Broadway performance. I mean just that. So that's why when I heard, I was like, oh, and then he was a Michael Jackson impersonator. So so that's why no one really the people with sanity didn't believe Daniel Penny's story when he was saying, oh, he was going around threatening people and all types of stuff like that. Because you just said that a lot of people who are homeless or stuff like that and being out of the street for so long, they kind of like tend to lose their mind a little bit. It happens, unfortunately. We see it all the time. But he did not do anything to actually harm these individuals. That's why do you think when this story first happened, you had the people that were supporting Daniel Penny had to reach back to some incidents that Jordan Neely was going through before that, like his running with the police then, because they typically do that when they have nothing here. I was like, what he had going on back then has nothing to do with why he's deceased now.
Yeah, that was my next point. My very next point, as a matter of fact. He was talking about how he had to stop him from hurting anyone else. Well, he didn't hurt anybody in the first damn place. You literally walked up on the dude and threw him in an illegal chokehold just to do it because you felt like you could, because you felt like no one was going to stop you, and no one did. As a matter of fact, you got people all around you seeming like they helping you in this situation. Like it just reeks of just a person who don't give a damn about someone else's life, nor whether or not if he would have any consequence. And Hey, what the universe says, with every action, there's a reaction, right?
Yep.
And so you did that, but you also kept running your mouth like a dummy, and now you are where you are. You have to deal with that. You got to lay in the bed that you made. But lastly, and I'll land my plane with this: when it comes to Alvin Bragg, I'm not even going to mention the people who are spazzing out about it, because spaz are going to spaz. But Alvin Bragg, if this man does not get this man convicted, he's showing his hands. You ain't playing poker no more, where you're like, well, because you literally went after Jonathan Majors, who was running away from his abuser. You have video evidence showing this man running away from his abuser, but yet you did everything in your power in order to get this man convicted of something. So if this dude does not get this man convicted, oh, you're showing your hand majorly, and people should make sure that they get this man the hell up out of there. But with that, I'll land, brother. B1 to you. Thank you for having me up. Shout out to the chat.
B1. Shout out to Church for coming up. And Sage had left a comment in there. He said, so basically, if Daniel Penny gets off, that means that I can go out and be Batman. Listen, that's what they don't need to happen. They do not need New York turning into Gotham, even though Gotham is based off of New York. Wallow J, you're slipping. The chat is saying you're slipping. They said this is 2 days in a row. They said this is 2 days in a row.
Keep on, Church. Keep playing with me now. All right. But hello, everybody in the chat, and hello, Torian. But yeah, people also need to remember, it was a lot of military people coming out against him, saying, yeah, that was the lone wolf type of thing, because this is something you shouldn't do, even if you are military trained. People, I don't know if they remember that or not. But you like you just said, and people were saying in the chat earlier, if he's not convicted and sent to jail, you're not setting not just a precedent in New York, but everywhere around the country. This is okay to do this, and they need this. Like, no, we do not need this in Chicago. We don't need this down here in Texas and Los Angeles, anywhere. You don't need that type of stuff going on, because people are going to be putting their mind, oh, it's cool for me to do that. And then you can point back to Derek Chauvin doing the cops will be like, wait a minute. So we could be prosecuted and found guilty for killing folks, but regular citizens can't be? Like, what precedent do the cops need? What do we need the cops for then? If you got regular citizens out here killing regular citizens and they don't get charged, that makes no sense. It got to be some, I can't believe I'm saying this, law and order when it comes to the type of situation. He snitched. He just straight up snitched on himself. Why would you tell him, yeah, I took him out? You basically just admitted that you killing him right there. Boom.
And that's what his attorneys didn't want to be put in there. And I was like, nope. And I'm glad that the judge is allowing the jury to have that in there as evidence.
Because that's the only evidence you really in there. Boom. Case closed. All right, let's lock his ass up. But yeah, that's all I gotta say. Church, I'm on your ass. B1.
Well, I have another live tomorrow, and I'm gonna be dropping the link again for that discussion. Let's see if Wallow J will be successful in getting up here first. Charles said Gotham is based off Chicago, not NYC. Oh, well, okay. Well, the reason why I said New York is because the last couple of Batman iterations have been based in New York, but I can see what you mean, because the Dark Knight series, all of those was in Chicago, unless it was always based in Chicago. A major metropolitan city. I'll just leave it like that. Next up, we got Jay the Informant. What's going on?
Yo, what's going on, man? How's everybody going?
Doing good.
Hey, so since we're gonna stick it on Batman, hey, I've been watching the new Penguin, and you know what? I might go out there and start acting like the Penguin, man. Take the world by the grasp of my hand, bro. Take over. But I want to keep this short and simple. This guy, look, I see homeless. I'm in Houston. I see homeless people all the time, multiple races. I never take it upon myself, even when they acting crazy, asking for money, to go out of my way to do anything to them, because I know they're just having a hard time. Sometimes they're facing mental illnesses and all that stuff. I understand the situation, but this guy's supposed to be be military trained, supposed to be have some type of skill level. So I want him held to the account of pretty much him trying to take something into his own hands, knowing that he could have just let the whole situation go. Even when they were in a container like the train, unless that guy was actively attacking somebody, there is no way he should have got done all that nonsense. If somebody's yelling, point blank, period. Who cares?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't see somebody yelling and be like, "Oh, I need to go do something right here and now." You know what I'm saying? Can you imagine if somebody just started yelling next to you in a restaurant and you like,
or what you can do, and this is something I've had to do. If I'm on the train and I see something like that and I'm annoyed by it, I just, when it gets to the next stop, I get up and I go to the next car, the one either in front of me or the one behind me, to avoid
it's
it.
not a bad idea. Facts, man. I mean, but can you imagine if somebody just started yelling in a restaurant and you just jump over the table and be like, "Oh, I have to subdue them because they were going to attack and kill somebody." I remember that stuff happened in Texas. I'm not going to get into that, but I remember that happened in Texas though. But this is completely unnecessary. We did, and I'm hoping that military background, because he's supposed to have special training, counts against him when the trial actually happens, because
Right.
this is actually ridiculous, man. As for this whole this person coming in to play psychologist of him, the other guy having drugs in his system, or he might have been using drugs at the time. No, they shouldn't allow him in the court. You know what I'm saying? But it's ridiculous. I hope this guy is held to account. I hope he faces up to that whole 19 years, man. We can't have too many. What's the girl name? Geiger or Gagger?
Amber Geiger.
Yeah, Amber Geiger, who's about to pretty much there's a possibility that she could get released after 6 years. We can't have that, man, because it shows that there's small penalties when you execute or act out of control and execute somebody of African American descent. You know what I'm saying? And I don't like that standard. I'm still kind of pissed off at that whole Trayvon Martin thing. And we have this Neanderthal who sold his gun and all this other stuff, and he wrote a book and all that crap. So I'm still kind of pissed off at that, man. I think that's the biggest out of everything that happened over the last decade or two. I think that's the biggest L for Black people. That MF right there, man. You know what I'm saying? That's the one that actually stuck with me over all the time. You know what I'm saying? Because like Trayvon Martin was like 2 years younger than me, so you know what I'm saying. So that kind of like always stuck with me. That could have been me type of situation. You know what I'm saying? Him just walking with some Skittles, and then you have this Neanderthal on the phone with the police, and the police tell him to leave it alone, and he takes action to his own hand, just like this guy on the train. But that's all I want to say, man.
All right, appreciate you coming up. Shout out to Jay for coming up. Next up, we got Pinky. What's going on?
Hey, Torian, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Okay, for me, my comment is more not about Daniel Penny, but for the two men that held Jordan Neely's hands as Daniel Penny was choking him. Those two should have been arrested as well, because at this point, what no one seems to be talking about is, okay, Daniel Penny, fine, he's being prosecuted as he should be. But for others who think that aiding in a murder is okay, these men have still not been named, and they're still at home, waking up, doing whatever they need to do, and going back to sleep at night, even after aiding in an innocent person's murder, and no one really knows who they are.
Exactly. Good point. That's a good point. Because their name, we saw their faces from the video, from the camera footage, but we never found out who they were, because they definitely held his arms down. So I definitely agree.
Exactly, and no one's really focused on that either. Okay, I understand that everybody's focused on on Daniel Penny for doing what he did, but no one is speaking about how others will think it's okay to aid in someone's murder. Because make no mistake, with the way the police are doing it, they always, how the police, they always focus on one particular officer, and then they really barely name the officers that aided in anything. They're not talking about these two men that aided in this, and it's only a matter of time before these people think it's okay to aid in a murder because they think they'll get away with it. That's
exactly. It. All right. Thank you for coming up. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Shout out to Pinky for coming up. Next, we got Jesse. What's going on?
Hey, B1 salute to the family. Peace to the chat. I'm basically gonna echo everything everybody else just said. Jordan Neely did not deserve to die. All he was doing was making money as a buster, being a Michael Jackson impersonator, as an unhoused neighbor, as I call them, the homeless. And he was hungry. And anybody that's been in that situation knows how that is. I've been in that situation. I was unhoused for quite a while. And I know how it is when you can't get nothing to eat and you start to feel like you're going crazy. But he didn't deserve to lose his life. And Jordan really should be charged with murder. The accomplices will need to be charged as well, them tethers, because I remember Tariq had played the video and he was like, yeah, these look like tethers that were helping Daniel Penny hold him down while he was choking him out. So yeah, they need to be charged as well as accomplices of murder, either second or third degree manslaughter. And Daniel Penny needs to be charged with capital murder. That was intentional. Jordan Neely wasn't harming nobody. All he was doing was yelling, like everybody else has said, that's been on the subways, been on these transits throughout all these metropolitans. Like here in Denver, we got Union Station. They disappeared like 1,500 people last year. We still ain't found out what happened to them. But we had that thing going on over there. People was yelling and screaming at passengers coming off the train, getting off the bus, all of that stuff. So just because somebody's yelling at you, that don't mean that you got to go out and choke them out, choke them to death. So there's no justification for this. And we need to definitely keep our eyes on this case, because Jordan Neely is by proxy. He's by proxy one of us. He was FBA. If they can do this to Jordan Neely, they can do this to any one of us and get away. And we just can't allow that to happen. So definitely keep your tabs. The campaign's going all right, y'all. The ballots will be dropping this week. So I'm doing my best to get the word out about the campaign, because the Boule media out here in Denver is trying to shadow ban me out. And I already had like 2 of my Facebook pages shut down. They tried to take my YouTube down. So the election interference and the shadow banning and the censorship is real, y'all. This is what happens with these Democrats, and these the same ones that talking about they want to preserve democracy and we need to save democracy, and they don't even practice it. I got more votes during my assembly than Kamala did to become the candidate for president. So I just want to put that on y'all brain. But if y'all do want to support the campaign, I got my page back up, so you just go Jesse Parrish for Colorado State House District 8 on Facebook. I had to put another page up because they try to shut that down. And then I'll put the website in the chat if y'all want to donate to the campaign as well. Appreciate you allowing me to come up, Torian.
No problem. Thanks for coming up, and good luck with the campaign.
Thank you.
All right, shout out to Jesse for coming up. And if y'all live out there in Colorado, make sure y'all support this brother right here. We don't have too many on code people who are trying to do something for us. Unfortunately, we're looking at you, the Congressional Black Hawk. All right, now next. Oh, we got one that just popped in. Don P, what's going on?
What's going on, Torian?
How you doing?
I'm good, man. Just out here working, man. I had to jump in on this, man, because when I saw, saw this story initially, it really pissed me off that this little cracker could jump out there and say he's doing something when he doesn't know what the shit he's doing. So, I told you about my background before.
Yeah.
As an administrator. Part of my job was the training manager. What is called a chokehold is actually called a carotid restraint. You have to be trained and certified on that, and I'm a certified instructor. There's a way that you do that, and for a time period that you do it. If you have not been trained and are not certified in that, you should not be doing that, because this is the end results. Something lesser to the extent you could crush their larynx.
Exactly. And they said that Daniel Penny held Jordan Neely in this chokehold for 6 minutes. So for someone who is well versed in that, how long would it actually take for someone to pass out from that chokehold if you had to give a number based on minutes?
Less than 90 seconds.
There you go. So basically what you're saying is that after 90 seconds or less, Daniel Penny was basically holding a dead body in a chokehold.
Yeah, so basically what happens is this. Once the brain has been deprived of enough oxygen, you lose consciousness. At that point, when you lose consciousness, a trained person in carotid restraint would know the change in the body, that the body has now gone limp. This person's unconscious. Now you can go ahead and take them into custody. All of that, way excessive, way excessive. The other thing is, it's reckless, completely reckless, and a total disregard for life. His ass should get the whole 19. Matter of fact, give him some more football numbers.
Right.
Anyway, and as an expert, I had to come up and speak on that. And I would love to come up as an expert witness in his trial. At any rate, I'm gonna land my plane there.
Okay, I appreciate you coming up. I understand, but I know you with your level of expertise, you wanted to let the people know exactly what it is that Daniel Penny actually did. Because I said to myself, he held him in that chokehold for 6 minutes, and I said, I know that no one can have oxygen flowing freely through their body being in that position for 6 minutes. It had to be it's a very short window because your lung capacity has pretty much been blocked.
Yeah, it's just oxygen to the brain. The brain doesn't get oxygen, it goes to sleep.
Yeah. So and here's the crazy part about it too. Let's say Jordan Neely actually survived. He probably would have suffered some brain damage because of that.
Absolutely.
But I appreciate
that's why you got to be
up.
trained. All right, Torian, thanks, my brother.
No problem. Shout out to Don P for coming up and dropping that knowledge on us, especially for those of us who didn't know exactly the technical term for it. But either way, I just said in the back of my mind that it was a short window. So that means in those 6 minutes, Daniel Penny was holding on to or choking a dead body. Pretty much. And you can't tell me he didn't know that man was gone. But shout out to everybody that came up. That we are about to shut the stream down. We did it in about an hour. Shout out to everybody that came up and spoke. We had a pretty solid panel of people that decided to come up and speak to this topic. We will be going live again tomorrow at the same time, and I'm gonna drop the link again in the same spot. Wallow J, hopefully, again, cross your fingers that you can make it up before church does. To speak to that particular topic. And tomorrow's premiere video at 10 is going to be a doozy. That's all I'm going to say. I think I'm probably one of the few people that's going to be talking about this, but hopefully more people catch wind of it so they can talk about it as well. With that being said, y'all enjoy the rest of your evening. Be safe and be one.